Scott from allaroundthewest.com. We are here today in Martin's Cove in central Wyoming. This is where Mormon handcart pioneers looked for shelter after they were hit by some early winter storms. And it's about a 5-mile hike to round trip to where this cove is. So we're going to head on that now. So we're on the trail. We think that we are going behind that mountain right there. Is that what you think, Sue?
Yes. That's what the map shows.
Is that the map showed? Okay.
So we're following the route, part of the route that the Martin Handcart Company took during the summer of 1856. A group of converts, Mormon converts in London, that all were from the same congregation, came together on the same ship and took the train to the end of the line in Iowa City, and from there they embarked on handcarts. Because of a lot of miscommunication, a lot of problems, there weren't handcarts ready when they got here. They got a very late start and ended up here in Wyoming very late and overcome by winter storms. So they, during the time that they were here was the beginning of November. They've been overcome by snowstorms during late September and early October as their rations decreased and as they became more sick and more tired. They had discarded excess bedding, blankets, and quilts in order to lighten their loads. And so by the time the first snows hit them in late October, they were overcome. There's flies everywhere. They were overcome and in a very serious state. As their rations continued to decrease, they got to a point not far from here where they were down to very little flour, so had almost no rations. The snow by the beginning of November was over a foot deep, and they felt like they could not go any farther, and so they came around the area that we walked, around this granite area, into this Martin's Cove area it's called. We're heading up around this large outcropping here in this ravine up to this lower cove, and right around the ravine up in the top right against that cliff is what's called Martin's Cove, where they stayed for several days hoping for rescue. The reason that they thought that perhaps rescue would be coming is that in late September or October they had been passed on the trail way east of here by some fast-moving carriages headed to Salt Lake. Those people told Brigham Young that there were handcart pioneers still out on the trail and were going to be perhaps overcome with snow, and so had promised that supplies would be coming back for them. So the Martin Company huddled down here for several days in the snow, hoping for rescue.
They're probably pretty happy to have you back if they should.
Yeah. We can come back.
Yeah.
We good?
Yeah, they're taking the bed to walk through the door right now.
Come back here. Please. You want more yay?
So if you look behind me, you can see a number of youth dressed in pioneer outfits. They come out here from a lot of the local, well, not local, but congregations around the West to come out here, and they actually go on a handcart trek where they pull handcarts over several days for, maybe about 10 miles, I was told. There's actually about, well over 20,000 young people that come out here and make this trek every year. They learn a little bit about their heritage, in some cases their ancestors, and a little bit about diligence and sacrifice, and learning about some of the conditions that some of our pioneer ancestors went through.
So off to my left, this way, about 2 miles is Devil's Gate, and then back behind me to the right is Martin's Cove. We just hiked around back in there and saw Martin's Cove, where the Martin Handcart Company stayed for 4 days in a terrible snowstorm. Before they went up into the cove, they left a little bit of slight shelter at Devil's Gate to travel to the cove and to try to find more shelter. And in order to do that, they had to make one more crossing of the Sweetwater. The Sweetwater River behind me has to be crossed multiple times on the California-Oregon Mormon Trail. And the first-hand accounts say that in the driving wind and snow, and it was already a foot deep, there were ice blocks in the river, that it was just more than the hand carters could bear. They were already totally deprived of food, they were out of energy, and so many of them just sat on the banks and wept. The rescuers who had come, the small band of rescuers that had come to help them so far, helped carry many of them across the river. A lot of them waded across the river into the ice. There's a story of 3 young men, 18-year-olds, who spent the entire day ferrying people back and forth across the river, and the accounts say that they suffered from the effects of that day in the frozen water all for the rest of their lives and died young.
So this has been our visit to Martin's Cove in Wyoming. I hope that you'll take a moment, some time, and visit this National Historic Site. There's a fair hike to where the cove actually is, but it's an interesting thing to do and see what some of our pioneer ancestors went through. This is Scott and Sue from allaroundthewest.com. Where's your next adventure?